so now we're on 7.6, rotational symmetry. A shape has rotational symmetry when it can be turned less than 360 degrees about its center to match itself exactly. The number of matches in a complete turn is called the order of rotation. So if you have any kind of tracing paper or paper that you can see through, some people can just figure out how much this is, but I'm going to show you. If I had a tracing paper, I'm just going to trace this, and then here's a circle here, and then you can see what I'm doing. So this is on the tracing paper. I'm just going to group this together here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that's the, I should have had that on the thing, but anyways, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to take this thing that I've drawn, one sec, and I'm going to rotate it. So do you see I'm going to rotate now, although my magical, my thing kind of moves. You can see, okay, so it lined up. There's one time. Remember my green thing was at the top. Then I keep on rotating. Again, my center is not right on there. There's twice. Oh, now I think got all mixed up. I don't know why it got out of there. Give me a second here. So that was twice, 3, 4, 5, and I'm back up here. Lined up. So that means I can turn it 5 times into itself. So that means my order is 5. And if I want to know how much degrees that is for each turn, I would take 360 degrees. That comes from, you know, like in a circle, if I rotate it all the way around, it's 360 degrees. And then I divide it by 5 times, I get 72 degrees, which means one of these turns right here, if I were to turn it, means I rotated it 72 degrees to get to that next point right there. Having troubles with my technology here. There we go. So that was a rotate of 72 degrees. Okay, so if I draw this, like, you don't have to. If you can see how many times it's going to rotate, you could probably just tell me right now, right? I'm just going to group this. Group. It's weird that it didn't. Okay. Anyways, so now if I'm going to take this and again rotate, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one worked way better for rotating. So I had 4 turns, so that means my order equals 4. And if I want to figure out the degrees of rotation, I take 360 and divide by the order, and I get 90 degrees. So each turn represents 90 degrees. All right, the next one, I'll just draw it on my tracing paper. Of course, I'm not drawing very nicely, but you get the gist of it. Group this. Okay, so now I'm going to rotate. So that is 1, 2, and 3. And you probably could have guessed that anyways. So that means my order equals 3, and the amount of degrees I turn for each one is 360 divided by 3 gives me 120. So if the question asks you, what is the order? That's how many times it rotates into itself. And if it asks you for the degrees, you take 360 degrees and you divide by the order. So I would probably highlight this right here. That's the formula. So the smallest angle you need to turn for the two shapes to match is called the angle of rotation. So I want to say here, and I'll put a little star by it, the shape only has rotational symmetry if the order is greater than 1. Meaning you can't just rotate it back to the beginning and say it has rotational symmetry. It has to be more than one rotation for it to be considered rotational symmetry. Okay, so if you want, you can pause and you can find the order and the angle of rotation for each of these. Okay, so if I were to do this, again, tracing paper, you don't have to, again. Some people can just visualize it here. I'll group it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That means my order equals 6, and my angle of rotation is 360 divided by 6 gives me 60 degrees. All right, so now I'm going to, again, trace this, group it, and I'm going to try to count. Nothing. There's 1 and 2. So the order is 2. So 360 divided by 2 means each turn was 180 degrees into itself. Okay, the next one. I'll group this. So I have, I shifted there a little bit. 1, I got to move it back in. There we go. 1, there's 2. Again, my thing is getting moved. Let's move it. I'll group it. Again, if I'm having technical difficulty moving this, that's 2. It's a little off. And 3. Okay, so order equals 3. 360 degrees divided by 3 means each one has an angle of rotation of 120 degrees. All right. Here we're using isometric dot paper to draw the images. And the nice thing about isometric dot paper is it automatically measures 60 degrees or 120 degrees if you go from one dot to another, that's the 60 degrees. And then if you go, I'll use a different color pen here, from one dot to the next dot, that's 120 degrees. So on the next page is isometric dot paper. So this page is way too hard to do the actual thing on the, so we're going to redraw it on the isometric dot paper and then do what it says there. So the first thing I'm going to do for A is I'm going to draw it. I'm going to use red. So for A, I'm going to kind of put it in the middle so I have enough room here. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. And then there's my D, my A, my B, and my C. And the question for A says, you need to rotate 60 degrees about vertex C. So here's vertex C. So what you may want to do is trace this. Ooh, holy. Give me a second here. I'm just going to fix that. Oh. Lock it in place. Okay, so I'll try this again. I'm going to group it, and then I'm going to duplicate it. Okay, so this one here is the same. So what it's saying here is it needs to rotate clockwise. So it's a little bit harder to do, but do you see if I move this you got to rotate this C to that line right there, and I'm having trouble with my there we go. Hold on, I gotta start again. Okay, I'm gonna start this again. So I did a trace on this. What I'm planning to do is from vertex C, take CD and rotate it to the same thing that I have here for BA. So like that. I gotta move it. Okay, so can you see that this, I'm gonna use blue here, this line right here rotated to this line right here. So that's the 60 degrees clockwise. So that's why sometimes it's nicer to have some tracing paper or some kind of paper to do it. Otherwise, some people can actually figure out just visually how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to try B now. B is a diamond. And this is E, H, F, and G. So I'm going to group this. Okay, so now I'm going to clone this so I have a second copy of it. Okay, so it's saying for B to go 60 degrees counterclockwise vertex D. Well, there is no vertex D. So that's a typo. We're going to do vertex, I don't know, let's do E. So counterclockwise 60 degrees. So that means we're going against the clock. So if I were to rotate this, again, this is kind of hard to do when you're All right, so what happened here was I rotated just a little bit too much here, it looks like. So we're going to try this again. Here's my E, and I'm going to go counterclockwise. So that means I'm taking it this way. So I'm going to move this over. So you can see that this is my F. So this was that side. Now this is this side right there. And it went. That was clockwise, wasn't it? Going that way. Let's try that again. let's try that again. So I'm having so much trouble rotating this. Okay, counterclockwise means I'm going this way. So now I'm going to move it. There we go. That's much better. Okay, so if you can see the visual of this, this, for instance, this side now became that side. All right. So now we're going to go, C is 1, 2, 3. Then it's down like that. And this is a P, a Q, an R, and an S. And it's saying for this one, oh, it's all grouped together already, to do 120 degrees vertex S. So 120 degrees, I'm going to clone this. And it's saying clockwise. So S is going to turn 1, 2. The problem is when I rotate mine, it gets off. So, let's try that again. All right, there's my S. Okay, so just so you can visualize what happened there, there was my SP, and then here is my SP there. So it's a clockwise 120, because if I went to this dot right here, that would have been 60. So this is going from here all the way here is 120. Okay, last one is 120 counterclockwise, T. So I'm going to draw what it had here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is URST. So this is my D. I'm just going to group this. And then I'm going to clone it. I'm going to put it back on each other. Okay, so now I'm going to be rotating it counterclockwise against T. So counterclockwise is turning to the left. So 1, 2, and that's 3. It's not lined up, darn it. Gotta group it again. I don't know why it ungroups it. So anyways, so do you see my TS should be, I moved it right there. Let's try that again. All right, I'm using my mouse this time. I'm having so much trouble here. So I'm going to take this, because I'm rotating the TU. If I take that, the easiest way is to rotate it to, if I rotate it to this line right here, that would be 60 and then 120. So this line has to go, TU has to go like that. I'm not rotating this. Great. There we go. should be in one line. Oh my gosh, I'm hoping you guys are having much. Sometimes technology isn't that great. I think I got it lined up there. All right, so just to refresh there, I'll show you what happened there was this line rotated 60, then 120 to get to that line there. So, and then you end up redrawing it.